Cosmic here, welcome back to the channel, and happy release day for Union Arena. We have our first gameplay video up here with the English cards, which I'm very excited for, and we have Phantom Troop on the left, which if you caught my other videos, I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite decks to play actually in this month one meta. It just has these really fun combos that you can pull off and draw a bunch of cards, and T-Mac is joining us once again playing Yellow Bleach on the right, which is a deck, as you'll find out in the second game, can open up some pockets of damage and just really get in for damage sometimes in a turn, and you can also build it a little bit more aggressively. So both players just setting up as is your typical Union Arena game. Spend a couple turns setting up. We did get double draw from the Phantom Troop side, and again, this is kind of the mixed deck that I talked about, but you just get so much draw opportunity that it can really help find your top end. Now T-Mac does have a final trigger here to reset, let him extend out his turn, and this ends up being huge for getting that double energy down early back to back, as that is going to play a huge role in getting to make sure he has 4 or 5 energy that he needs later on in the game, that sometimes it is just worth replacing. So we are going to get a promotion here. What's really difficult about this backline that we have is both the Cloro and Illumi's raid fodder. You want to keep in the backline and keep them safe. You don't want to promote them too early. You might think about getting in the 1500 damage, but they're always going to be bad blockers, and you don't want to lose your raid target where you have it. And then the Illumi in the back is a double energy provider, and because we have to go to 5, we have to keep him back there as well. So we're putting the Finks to the front, just doing a little bit of cycling. We're still going to use it as a blocker. You can see us discard here another Finks as well. And this is me just trying to figure out, what can we do? How do we find our top end? We're using the 1 double energy bouncer, getting Finks back to our hand, and really just trying to find again those combo pieces. So yes, this deck does require a little bit of setup, but because we have so many cards that can help draw and get us there, you are going to a lot of times actually I was discarding to hand size, which was really funny, kind of looking back at the game itself. But a couple quick edits here as we were going back and forth and his camera was cutting out. We do see him promote 1 Yhwach to the front. It's only a 1500, but it's still, if we can line up some open areas with yellow. Again, we have Bambi. We have so many different ways to tap down various things. It also gives him a blocker that if he really needs it on the following turn. So here we do see the Jugram, which has the impact. Unfortunately, we do miss the trigger again on his main effect, that if he's in the front line, if your opponent has a trigger, you get to draw 2 and discard 1, which can be really important for the extra filtering that you're going to want to see out of the yellow side as well. So it looks from T-Mac's side, he is just going to have the impact kind of set up. We have the free block here with the 2K, and then he comes across with the 4K impact. Again, because it has impact, we're not going to block it. We're going to take the damage no matter what, and we do hit a draw trigger off the Killua. And I do have to say, as you'll see in the list at the end, we are playing Testing Gate, we are playing the new Killua, and I said that in our original videos that the Killua was going to be really important for kind of the early game and making sure that you can get your 4 and 5 energy requirements, and it has been a big boost for this deck in my opinion, and combos very, very well with Testing Gate, which you'll see later. But we do have the double turn where we have the Illumi. We're going to give a target to have draw 2 cards on it. Cloro is going to copy Shizuku's ability, so we're going to draw a card off of that because of Cloro's when rated ability. And then we get to bring it all together for Bandit Secret. So we get to kill something with that 3K that we mentioned. Cloro's ability is going to trigger to draw us an extra card because of Shizuku is getting copied, and then Illumi's draw 2 because something got sidelined this turn is going to trigger as well. So this is a massive, massive swing turn that you can put together. But as I added a quick note here, I actually had a final trigger in my hand, and this was the first time as we were talking about the combo, I was really excited to see all 3 pieces come together, that I should have played the final so I could have got 1 more card set up, because we knew that we were going to draw 3 anyways. Like, you just always want to play the final trigger there, because you will draw into something, even if it's putting a 0 energy character to the back line, right? You want to make sure that you're able to refill your back line so you can go and apply more pressure on the next turn. So he takes a double damage here. He doesn't want to, lose his Jugram yet. Maybe hits an active trigger, and that, he gets 1 more block here off of the 15, and then we get the 2K swing in, trying to get a colored trigger or something. So lucky for us, the colored trigger does come at the very end, so he is going to get to rest something for the effect, so it's not going to restand, creating a pocket of damage to get through. And here he's trying to decide between the, the damage 2 or the impact, and that's kind of the other part I like about this deck. Illumi, that as long as you get the early damage set up, a lot of people are like, oh, but damage 2, they're just going to end up blocking it, what have you. But that still applies a lot of pressure when you're able to get in that early chip damage like we did. We had our big swing turn, and then we're still able to have 2 reasonable blocks. The Chloro is still on the front line generating an impact, and we just drew a bunch of cards too, so we're going to be able to just use our action points effectively and make sure that we're advancing our board. Now, on T-Mac's side, this is a very critical turn for him to try to either apply some pressure, try to get some additional final triggers so he can extend out his turn by using extra action points. Just needs something in general to go his way, but he does hit the Yhwach here because he rated up, so he did have 6 in the back, and this is what I was talking about with those 2 double energy characters in the back. Generally, yes, you want to have them for the draw effect, so unfortunately he couldn't get the draw because he had to play them early. There are other double energy, characters that you can play, but he is going to get to sideline something here, so he opens up another pocket of damage. And again, this is just really what yellow can do, and just get these extra bits of damage out of places you might not be expecting. So he does have the other Jugram here. He's going to make us discard from the effect. Again, we just have so many cards with the purple deck here, and now he is going to be threatening the double impact and a damage too. So I mean, yes, he's at 2 life, but that is a pretty scary board. Knowing that we are a bit locked down, we have to take some extra points of damage here, but overall, he is going to be just left with that 2 double energy guys in the back. We do have another draw trigger, which is nice. So this is pretty much the, if I find any special or if I find any raid target, spoiler, we just found a raid target, it is going to be very hard to stabilize for T-Mac, and we had a little bit back and forth there, putting the raid back to my hand, because he's going to have to block these 4Ks and didn't have as much, removal or stun necessary to really lock down our board. So this is one of those things where you can see how that triple card combo really comes online, and sometimes just in general having a Lumi into the Bandit Secret as just a, flat value thing, drawing the 2, getting to remove something 3K or less, and then get in an extra point of damage that way can also be a really big deal, especially if you hit it in the early game. Something I really want to stress is, don't undersell just a 3K removal in this game, because if it gets you damage on the right timing, it can really make a huge difference. So we have the Illumi trigger here, and another note for myself that I forgot to use Testing Gate, because we drew so many cards, and because you do want cards or certain cards in your sideline because of the purple color trigger, it's always okay just to cycle in this deck as well. But in game 2, you'll find we hit the Killua, and it is just free draw at that point. So here we're going to have our Lullaby trigger for the new one that's going to be on the Jugram, and here's a little bit of back and forth that we were just trying to announce which target it was, because again, I was just playing too fast. Again, these are just light, fun, casual webcam games that we do, and we record for content, so apologies for, a couple misplays and all that stuff, but trying to just get some extra gameplay out there and, showcase off some decks, because Union Arena is actually quite fun when you get into all these other, side archetypes that you can play. So an opportunity for us just to swing through. Again, another color trigger, so he is going to get to lock something down again, which is going to be the Chloro, because, he's at 1 life. The impact is very live here for the next turn, but we do have the double Illumi, which is still, 2 damage, 4K that he has to block. So with only having 3 cards on board in total, it's really not looking too great for his setup. So this is again the point of, sometimes you just really want that early damage, and if you can find those lines early enough, it can be quite difficult for your opponent to get back into the game. Now, from a setup like this, yes, if there was extra final triggers that we could have lined up on the turn before, help extend out our board a little bit, get maybe 1 more chump blocker, that maybe would have given us 2 life, where then we're not automatically dead to the impact character on board, right, and does something for us. But unfortunately, as we're going to see here, he doesn't have enough characters. Also, this is a mistake I'm catching in post here, that he had the double energy, but it's only when it's active, so he had 5, not 6, so he couldn't have played the Yhwach here. But again, he is very low on resources, very low on life, and we just won out based on more or less what's on board, because we're getting the extra value that way. So something to keep in mind, just make sure you double count your energy out there. But he only has the 1 blocker, he has 1 life left, he's just going to flip it over and show it to us that it is nothing. So again, kind of one of those things that, yes, we really won 2 turns earlier just because that tempo advantage that we were able to take and get all the extra card draw as well. And here we're just showing a couple more Bandit Secrets. Now for game 2, here's kind of the other side of it, and I was just very unlucky, admittedly, but I mulliganed away, didn't see any zeros, saw a hand with double Finks, and I'm like, you know what? I am good. This is totally fine. I'm going to draw into some extra answers. Spoiler, we didn't draw into some extra answers, but it is what it is, and we are going to see the setup here from T-Mac. So while this is a shorter game, and it is kind of a bit more one-sided, like there's a couple different turns where if I found a final or found a little bit different sequencing, I absolutely would have been able to get back into the game, I feel, but you're going to see the absolute insane, exhausting, or tapping, resting power that Yellow has and can create, again, these big 3 or 4 damage swing turns like we had in game 1 that can be really challenging to come back from in some situations. So again, a little bit of setup here. Here's where I realized I just have to discard anyways. I could have probably taken the extra draw, but for how many 0s, 1s, and 2s the deck plays to mulligan and then shuffle up, draw some extra cards, and have double Finks into nothing, like a 2-drop would have worked too, feels pretty bad. But Roid Lloyd out of Yellow is actually a really fun card too. Just getting the extra opportunity to raid as kind of a deck fixer, if you will, is really nice. And there's that Yhwach color trigger going to the back, which again, getting the double energy that the deck really needs to get going. And here we see it just a turn late. We get the Shizuku and to the Killua as well, which is just giving us the energy. And then we realize that if there's any chance of us coming back here, we need to get the testing gate online. Killua is now going to draw us an extra card every single turn, provides us with the double energy. And this is a very good setup turn and also a very important part to recognize that, yes, he has a double energy in the back, but T-Mac is pushing up 3. He noticed that we had a slower start, and he has at least a 2 into a 3 to curve out to because he played that double energy. So if we would have gotten, a slightly slower hand from T-Mac's side, this is another case where I think we really would have been able to stabilize, but he is going to go for 3 big damage here right away, and you're going to actually see us flip the double final trigger also, which feels really bad because just getting even a single one of those probably would have helped us considerably, getting back into this game too. And to be fair, his board is not that strong as it is like right now, so we do have a couple things that we can line up and try to make sure that we're getting blockers for. Killua is giving us, again, that opportunity to draw off the testing gate because it is a 3K. We have the 3 energy in the back line. So we're feeling pretty confident that, just any raid fodder into the raid itself and then maybe a bandit's removal would have been really nice as well to then draw off of the Shizuku. There's actually quite a few lines here that would have worked out for us, but unfortunately, through all that draw, and as I mentioned, one of the downsides is sometimes you just do not see your raid targets. So we do at least get the final. So if this would have been like a raid into Chloro, into the bandits, we would have felt so strong going into this position. But unfortunately, we just kind of have a setup here overall. Talking about some attacks here, he just is going to let one go through. And then also, if it wasn't bad enough, he is going to get the Metalize out of life as well. And, just dream crush us a little bit. But obviously, we are struggling a little bit so far anyways. We did have a ton of draw, but ultimately, you really do need to see that raid at the top end and some of your own special cards to help stabilize. So again, here now realizing that we already have 1 pocket of damage open while he has 4 attackers, that any card he has that is going to either exhaust, rest, or remove, I should say, to get in an extra point of damage is just going to further increase his game plan and making sure that he's able to close out the game here in just a couple turns. And ultimately, that is what it's going to be. So we have the Bambi in the back, which is going to rest a card as well. And then the Asnot coming into play here into the front line with a raid is going to tap another one. So her entire board, just like that, was able to disappear. And that is absolutely the power of Yellow. If they can capitalize on those low momentum turns that your opponent might have, it's very easy for them to get 3 or 4 damage out of nowhere and just take command of the game there. And then, of course, one more Metalize here at the top end as well. But that's a couple games. Definitely let me know what you guys think about the list overall here at the end. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, so much more Union Arena content to look forward to. I'm so happy to have all of our cards here, and now just get to go to locals and play test. So make sure to support your local game stores as well. Talk to them about Union Arena. And also, let me know in the comments below what decks you want to see next, because that can definitely shape it up. So here's a list, and have a good one.